Hi, this is Andre from Wrestle to the Top. Please like and subscribe for more interesting videos and facts of the glorious world of professional wrestling. The wrestler that I want to highlight today is known for being a disaster. No, I don't mean he wasn't good at what he did. He was billed as a real disaster. I am, of course, talking about the massive 6'7", 423-pound, ground-stopping, never standing still while delivering a fiery promo, John the Earthquake Tenta. Now, where is John Tenta? Let me just quickly get him. There he is. Let's get a good view from him. And I'm going to have him stand there for the remainder of his privilege of this being a video about him. Now, he was born John Anthony Tenta Jr. on the 22nd of June 1963 in Surrey, British Columbia, Canada. Tenta was trained in Japan by All Japan Pro Wrestling founder Giant Baba, and also made his debut with the company on the 1st of May 1987. He teamed up with his mentor Giant Baba to take on Rasha Kimura and Goro Tsurumi. They won the match, and Tenta would continue to team with Giant Baba as well as Jumbo Tsuruta and the Great Kabuki for the next 18 months, before gaining the attention of North American promoters, luring him back across the pond. Tenta did some tours in Vancouver, working in promoter Al Tomko's NWA All-Star Wrestling. With his good work ethic as a big wrestler, Tenta's career skyrocketed in a mere 2 years, because he received the call from WWF promoter Vince McMahon to join his promotion. He had 2 dark matches under his own name in March of 1989 and signed a full-time contract with the WWF in September that year. After signing, he had his first dark match, importantly, on the 21st of September 1989, where he portrayed a lumberjack called Earthquake Evans and was managed by Slick, and he defeated Paul Roma. This was, as I said, importantly, a dark match, because this would set up Tenta for one of the most shocking debuts in wrestling history. On the 11th of November 1989, Tenta finally made his televised debut, but not to wrestle, rather as a plant in the audience, portraying a normal fan and spectator. In the ring, Canadian strongman Dino Bravo challenged the Ultimate Warrior to a strength competition. Now let me just get the Warrior here. I've got him on top. Let's just see. The Warrior. Dino Bravo's manager was the mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. And we can easily see Jimmy Hart here at the left side with his famous microphone. A very irritating instrument in the days that he was a manager. Let me just get Goldberg in a better position before he loses it. But what the mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, did was suggest they pick a random audience member to sit on the competitor's back while they did a number of push-ups. Jimmy Hart pretended to look around the audience to find the right person, which in actual fact, John Tenta was always the target. He would be picked, and he would make one of the greatest swerves in the 80s wrestling. Tenta came into the ring and started by squatting down on the back of Dino Bravo while he did his set of push-ups. When the warrior dropped down into the same position for his set of push-ups, Tenta got on his back but forcibly dropped down on the warrior, following it up with several big splashes on the downed warrior. This attack cemented the new wrestler Tenta as a heel and sharing with Dino Bravo the managerial services of Jimmy Hart. John Tenta started off under his own name, but he would soon switch to the name the Canadian Earthquake. But by the time WrestleMania 6 rolled in, it was shortened to just Earthquake, the unstoppable monster heel that the fans would mostly remember him for. Now, Earthquake made his pay-per-view first appearance on pay-per-view at the 1989 Survivor Series. He replaced Barry Windham, that was supposed to be on Macho Man Randy Savage's team. Now, Barry Windham, let me just quickly find him. He's here somewhere, way on top. There, we have Barry Windham. Very good wrestler. So that's the person Tenta replaced on whose team? This man right here. The Macho Man, Randy Savage. Possibly one of the very best wrestlers all round. Now what happened was that Savage's team won, with Savage, Dino Bravo and Earthquake surviving. Earthquake made his WrestleMania debut at WrestleMania 6 by defeating Hercules Hernandez. After this, Earthquake hit the big time by starting a feud with the company's top draw and champion, Hulk Hogan. Now, if anybody doesn't know who Hulk Hogan is, not that I think that's possible, he's right here. The All-American babyface. Rest in peace, Hulk. Now, the feud ignited on a segment of the Brother Love Show, which featured Hulk Hogan confronting the pudgy pink host. Earthquake snuck up on Hogan and brutally attacked him. During this incident, Hogan had his ribs kayfabe crushed by the monster heel after Earthquake used his signature move, the splash, on Hogan. The wrestling angle was billed as the end of Hulkamania, with the possibility of Hogan retiring after the brutal attack. Hogan, however, after an extreme recovery program, returned to take revenge on the new unstoppable heel. They would have several matches across the country in the following months. Hogan and Earthquake were also the two final competitors in the 1991 Royal Rumble, with Hogan eliminating Earthquake to win. After the Hogan feud ended, Earthquake would pick up another WrestleMania match victory by beating Greg the Hammer Valentine at WrestleMania 7. The WWF held a joint show in Japan with local promotion Super World of Sports, for short SWS, during which Earthquake had a match with Japanese wrestler and former sumo Koji Katao. This match is mainly remembered for when the two wrestlers broke kayfabe by being uncooperative with each other. Katao didn't want to sell for Earthquake and was eventually disqualified when the Japanese wrestler kicked the referee for real, and afterwards took the microphone and proclaimed that wrestling is fake and that he would beat his opponent in a real fight. Katao, unsurprisingly, was fired from the promotion soon afterwards. But let's get back to Earthquake. Earthquake's next big feud would be against Jake the Snake Roberts. Now, Jake's a bit difficult to get out of the box. His face, you will see, is right here in a box, along with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, Jake was known to bring a snake in a bag to the ring, which he would throw onto his opponent after the match. This feud ignited when, after the match, Earthquake tied up Jake in the ring ropes and proceeded to take the bag with the snake and, to the horror of the fans, doing his Earthquake splash and squash the snake. But don't worry, animal lovers. This was in fact only a stage bag that Earthquake squashed that didn't really have a snake in it. To give the effect of a snake in the bag, the company used pantyhose stuffed with hamburger meat and a small motor to simulate a moving snake. This was built upon when Earthquake had a barbecue during which he cooked burgers. He then fed them to the hosts of the WWF Primetime Wrestling Show, Vince McMahon, Lord Alfred Hayes, and Bobby the Brain Heenan. And afterwards, he mentioned that the meat came from Jake Roberts' squashed snake. Earthquake and Roberts would continue the feud throughout late spring into the summer. Now, let's just quickly get Vince McMahon. That would be him right here in his street fighting clothes. In 1991, Earthquake would form a team with fellow big man wrestler Fred Ottman, who was wrestling under the gimmick Tugboat, before turning heel and becoming Typhoon. The tag team was called the Natural Disasters, with Jimmy Hart managing the massive duo. The team feuded with several babyface teams, most notably the legendary tag team, the Legion of Doom, which consisted of the Road Warriors, Animal, and Hawk. The Natural Disasters would later turn face when Jimmy Hart betrayed him to join forces with the team Money Incorporated, which was composed of the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase and Irvin R. Shyster, or for short, he was called IRS. Now, I did a video of IRS some time ago. Let's just quickly find him here. Here he is, with the title and his suitcase. So he, along with the $1 Million Man, feuded with Earthquake and his teammate Typhoon. Now, they would feud over the tag team titles, which the Natural Disasters won from them, but wouldn't hold it for long before dropping it back to Money Incorporated. Earthquake left the WWF in 1993 after losing in a countout against Bam Bam Bigelow. In January of 1994, he would return to pursue a singles run. He defeated Adam Bomb at WrestleMania 10 in a quick squash match and would afterwards begin a short feud against another monster and super heavyweight, Yokozuna. Now let me just quick get Yokozuna. Sorry, Junkyard Dog, for making you fall over. Let's get the massive monster Yokozuna here. Truly an amazing specimen. Now, they would have a sumo match on Raw, which Earthquake won. And now I still find a lot of humor in this match, if not a serious twist of irony. Why? Because Yokozuna was billed as a sumo wrestler from Japan. while he was actually not Japanese, but from Samoan descent and born in San Francisco, and had never wrestled a sumo match before. While Tenta was an, was an actual sumo wrestler with a short but successful career before joining All Japan Pro Wrestling. It was also fitting for Earthquake to win the match, considering his pedigree as the real deal sumo. Tenta would, however, return to Japan later in the year to work for Japanese promotion WAR. Due to personal financial difficulties, Earthquake contacted WWF's rival in the Monday Night Wars, World Championship Wrestling WCW, for a job. With the help of Hulk Hogan, that was already in WCW, Earthquake got his foot in the door and was quickly rebranded as Avalanche, and was made part of Kevin Sullivan's stable, the Three Faces of Fear. He would, along with Big Bubba Rogers, formerly the Big Boss Man in the WWF, feud with Sting and Macho Man. Now, Big Bubba Rogers, I also have him here, formerly the Big Boss Man. This would be his look when he returned to the WWF around 97. So this was now his new tag team partner. Now at Clash of Champions, the pay-per-view, Tenta as Avalanche along with the Butcher, formerly Brutus the Barber Beefcake in the WWF, and Kevin Sullivan would lose in a six-man match against Hulk Hogan, Sting, and Kevin Sullivan's kayfabe special needs brother, Dave Sullivan. Tenta would follow this up with a disqualification loss at the Starrcade pay-per-view against Sting. This would not get any better over the coming months with his bookings. At Super Brawl, Tenta and Bubba Rogers lost again to Sting and the Macho Man. At Uncensored, Tenta would also lose to the Macho Man, and at Clash of Champions, he would lose to Sting. The Avalanche name would be dropped due to the WWF threatening legal action over the similarities to Tenta's previous character of the Earthquake. After this, Tenta would be rebranded as The Shark and join Kevin Sullivan's new stable, the ill-fated Dungeon of Doom. During this time, Tenta had actually changed his arm tattoo of an LSU tiger into a shark, thinking the gimmick would be a long-term one. But the Dungeon of Doom was little more than cannon fodder and a platform to build Hulk Hogan's character in the company. Tenta teamed up with other Dungeon of Doom members, Kamala, the Zodiac, which was Brutus Beefcake using face paint enjoying his 100th gimmick, and Kevin Sullivan as the Taskmaster to take on Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, Sting, and Lex Luger in a War Games match, which they lost to the Babyfaces. Now, Tenta as the Shark challenged Sting for his WCW United States Championship on the 9th of October 1995 on an episode of Monday Night Nitro, but lost. He also lost a match to Scott Norton on the 20th of November. Tenta competed at the pay-per-view World War III in the 60-man Battle Royal for the vacant WCW World Heavyweight Championship, which was won by the Macho Man Randy Savage. Tenta would eventually leave the stable of the Dungeon of Doom and started wrestling under his own name, delivering a promo scolding the gimmicks WCW gave him in the past. Most notably, he said, "I'm not a shark. I'm not a fish. I'm not an avalanche. I am a man, John Tenta. On the 27th of May, Tenta challenged the Giant, later the Big Show, in the WWF for the Heavyweight Championship, but lost. Now let me just see if I got the Giant here, the original Giant. Yes, here he is. Better known as Paul White, his real name. But this is the way he looked in WCW when he also wore the World Heavyweight Championship. On the 3rd of June on Nitro, he defeated Big Bubba Rogers by countout and followed that up by beating Big Bubba at the 1996 pay-per-view, The Great American Bash. After the match, Tenta would also cut off Big Bubba's goatee with a pair of scissors. They would continue to feud over the next few months. On the 1st of July 1996, Tenta again challenged the Giant in another failing attempt for the world title. Big Bubba Rogers would join the Dungeon of Doom, Tenta's former stable, and during an incident shaved off half of Tenta's hair, making his head half bald. During another match against the Giant, Bubba would strike again by also shaving off Tenta's beard. On the 9th of September 1996, Tenta defeated the Macho Man by countout. On the 3rd of March 1997, Tenta joined Roddy Piper as a member of his family faction. Now, Roddy Piper, I have him here in front. Easily identified by his kilt. As he would always say, it's not a dress, it's a kilt. Real men wear kilts. Now, this faction would be short-lived as Piper quickly joined the Four Horsemen. Tenta would leave WCW in early 1997. On the 25th of May 1998, Tenta would return to Vince McMahon's WWF on an episode of Raw under a new gimmick where he was named Golga. He wrestled under a brown gold-like mask as part of the Oddities faction, with the character having a fascination with the TV show South Park character Eric Cartman. Tenta was almost unrecognizable due to losing a considerable amount of weight, and the WWE believed it would damage his former character of Earthquake standing if he should have returned under his old gimmick. On the 28th of July, Tenta, under the new gimmick of Golga, defeated Marvelous Mark Merrow on Raw, and at the pay-per-view SummerSlam, he would, along with the Oddities, defeat the faction of Kai En Tai, being Taka Michinoku, Dick Togo, Mens Teo, and Sho Funaki, and they would do it in a handicap match. On the 5th of September, the Oddities defeated the Legion of Doom with Darren Drozdov in a 6-man tag, and on the 12th of September faced the Disciples of Apocalypse, the DOA, which ended in a no contest when the top rope fell off. On the 4th of October, the Oddities defeated the Headbangers Mosh and Thrasher on the show Heat. And on the 17th of October, Tenta, along with Kurgan, defeated the team of Too Much, which consisted of Brian Christopher and Scott Taylor, who would later become Scotty 2 Hotty. The Oddities also clashed with another group, the Los Boricuas, which were Jose Estrada, Miguel Perez Jr., and Jesus Castillo, and they won. On the 25th of October, Tenta as Golga lost to Jeff Jarrett on the show Heat. After this, the Oddities' early success would dry up by becoming enhancing talent to new ones, as well as losing to former opponents like Kai and Tai, the Headbangers, and feuding with DX, the New Age Outlaws, that was Billy Gunn, Road Dogg Jesse James, and X-Pac. Now, I have Billy Gunn and X-Pac. Here is Billy Gunn in his sort of DX attire for that one show that they went to WCW or tried to go into the show. And where would X-Pac be? Just see, he's on top. And there is X-Pac. Unfortunately, I don't have the Road Dogg Jesse James. For a period of time, the Oddities were accompanied by the hip-hop duo of Violent J and Shaggy 2 Dope, the Insane Clown Posse. The ICP would, after several months of their affiliation with the Oddities, turn heel on them by helping the Headbangers get a win over them on the 23rd of November's episode of Raw. The pay-per-view, In Your House, Rock Bottom, was held in Tenta's hometown of Vancouver, during which Golga and Kurgan lost to the Headbangers again. But on the 10th of January 1999, the duo would get their revenge by defeating the Headbangers on the show Heat. This victory would be short-lived, as the Oddities would continue the year with losses to the DOA and Too Much on the lower shows. At the 1999 Royal Rumble, Tenta as Golga would enter the Rumble at number 3, but was quickly eliminated by Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, Steve Austin, easy one here in front. Unfortunately, Roddy Piper doesn't want to let go of Austin, but there's Austin. The last appearance of the Oddities was on the 28th of February 1999, when the Oddities got a beatdown from the Ministry of Darkness that was led by The Undertaker. Now, Undertaker, I have a few of him, but let's take this one from about 2006. The Undertaker. Now, shortly afterwards, all the members were released by the company, including Tenta. Tenta would, however, return to the WWF in 2001, doing his old gimmick of Earthquake again for a few special appearances, including competing in the 20-man gimmick battle royal at the pay-per-view WrestleMania 17. During the match, he was eliminated by the Ugandan giant Kamala, and the battle royal was eventually won by the Iron Sheik. The Iron Sheik, I also have him here, but as his character, Colonel Mustafa. Don't know why they rebranded him. Everybody knows the Iron Sheik. Truly one of the dumbest rebrandings. Whoever did it was a jabroni. Now, after leaving the WWF, Tenta wrestled on the independent circuit as well as working in England and Canada. In November 2002, Tenta returned to All Japan Pro Wrestling, where he debuted back in 1987, and this would also be where he would end his wrestling career in July 2003. He dressed in his Earthquake outfit during this final stint, wrestling local talent like Keiji Muto and ECW legend Mike Awesome. He would also frequently tag with Jerry Toot, better known as The Wall in WCW. Tenta retired from wrestling due to developing bladder cancer. He went through chemotherapy treatments, which unfortunately wasn't able to reduce the size of the tumor. John Tenta died on the 7th of June 2006, just 15 days shy of his 43rd birthday. He would be posthumously inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame on the 6th of March 2025. Now my final thoughts on John Earthquake Tenta. Despite being remembered as a monster heel in the ring with a fury temper, outside of the ring, many wrestlers described him as a very quiet, extremely polite, and family man. He would also be remembered by me for his deceptive quickness as a monster heel, but also for the giant smile he had after his victory at WrestleMania 10, which just for a moment exposed the true beauty of this man. John Earthquake Tenta, I salute you. And I salute you also, the wrestling fan. This was Andre from Wrestle to the Top.